Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Aight podcast. This is presented by AML Media, Alberta Marie Labordi Media. Love you, Mom. This is episode 6. We had to do a little restart because Rachel was not good with numbers. But to redeem herself, she is going to give us the plug. So go ahead, Rach.
You don't have to tell the fans that we had a redo, but...
We're 100% honest on this show.
Okay. Well, we are on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. All of our social media handles are on the screen, so take a screenshot if you're watching the video, or you can go to our website where you can find all of our links. Our website is AML.NEWS.BLOG.
Go to the website. That's going to be the best for you to gain access to all of our stuff that we currently have out there.
We got everything now.
Yeah,
we're on everything,
and we're in the groove, man. We're cycling. We got it going. It's feeling good. We even had dinner before this. Usually we're like scrambling to get food in us and get the caffeines going and all that stuff. So we're getting almost professional. Almost. We got green screens. We got all the good stuff you need. We got Rachel only messing up a couple times this week. But how's your week been?
Good, I guess. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to report, so that's a good thing.
That is usually good. Any updates with the neighbors?
No, all quiet on the home front.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little running around today. Got some bills paid. Boring shit.
Switching cell phone carriers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I got to run around today. I went to 2 different stores to find out that I just needed to call someone.
First of all, why does you'd think like you fill out less paperwork signing up for a doctor, let alone trying to switch carriers.
Yeah, they don't make it easy.
And it's obvious because they don't want to lose you, and every company is competing with each other. Someone's got a better deal, this and that. But, like, I didn't realize that there's, like, 3 different codes. There's a PIN, and then there's a transactional and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, just let me text message, make a phone call here and there, and watch porn on my phone. I don't understand why it's such a big deal.
Yeah, well, I mentioned the porn, and they said they still couldn't help. So
that didn't... Was it a man you were talking to?
Yeah.
And he wasn't like, you know what, dude, you're right. Yeah. It's just here, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I went to a Metro store, and the guy at the desk had no ability to give me the transfer pin. It's like you are running a franchise, and they don't trust you. I mean, it was just weird. A bunch of wasted time. I could have stayed home and made a phone call like I originally planned to, but the girl at the Xfinity store told us, to save myself trouble, just go to a store.
Yeah, come on, Shay. Shia?
Shay. One of those new age.
Come on, we had a lot of hope in you, and you made us do some running around on like the busiest street at rush hour, basically. So that was rough for you.
Yeah, and I waited. The first place I went to was the T-Mobile store, and I had to sit there for literally a half hour waiting for someone to be available to help me.
It's like. It's so like not secretive. I don't know the word, but we had Metro PCS by T-Mobile, who then there's a T-Mobile store, but then apparently T-Mobile's owned by like AT&T, and it's like I feel like there's all these like little small offshoots that are just trying to like they give you a good deal, but how are they making money? I don't see how Metro PCS that's run by T-Mobile.
Seems like they all just share 2 networks. It's either AT&T or Verizon. Pretty much supplies the towers for all these offshoots.
So you think they're just making their money?
I don't know. It's a whole labyrinth, bro. Really, honestly, it's like a big elephant in the room. Like, mum's the word if you're trying to change providers. Like, nobody. It's really bizarre.
And they're just. I think they're always trying to push to sell a cell phone in store, because even at where we were going to our new carrier we want to get because they have a good deal going, they're like, yeah, your iPhone might not be new enough to transfer over. And we asked, we're like, okay, so can we figure that out? She goes, I'm not going to be able to know until we're doing the process.
Yeah, really weird.
And I go, that doesn't make sense, but okay. And then by the end of the conversation, she goes, well, actually, my phone's older than yours, and mine transferred over, so And I was like, I get the sales thing, but they were about to lose the sale because I was like, I'm not buying a new iPhone. Mine is like pretty freaking new.
Yeah. Well, she's just doing her job.
Yeah,
But she really fucked up by telling me to do this extra shit that I didn't need to do.
Yeah.
I was originally going to just make the call, and she made it seem like that's definitely not going to work. You need to go to a store.
And saying it with confidence.
Yeah, right.
Because
So
we
I
were like,
believed her.
we have Metro PCS by T-Mobile. She goes, hey, let's go to T-Mobile store.
Not the case.
Not the case even a little bit.
And then the fucking Metro store was this janky, like, one-room store with a friendly enough Indian guy behind the counter, but he was like, and I told him what I needed. Mind you, everybody, I came with a death certificate because my mom passed and she had the original account and all this shit.
A short certificate.
To let you know how serious we thought, like, they
bank
were gonna,
statements.
how much we thought they were going to bust my balls. And he was basically like, oh, no, you just have to call 611. I can't help you. And I gave him that look like, are you sure? You got to give me something, dude. I drove here, and he gave me, like, some security pin, which I didn't end up needing.
Do you think he just immediately was like, well, I don't have, there's no money for me to make here. Just...
No, I really don't think. I think you have to call, because I think you're calling AT&T.
Yeah.
So it's all these, it's like a fucking mafia. It's like these storefronts that are really not the company you're using.
That's what I was getting to. Like, it almost has a mafia-esque type of feeling because it's like, well, this is the same company, but not really the same company. But if you try and leave, we're going to make it really hard on you. But that's exciting because are you going to definitely go to the iPhone?
Yeah, man, for $9 a month.
That's a good deal. And once you make the switch, you know.
It's really, and this is probably ridiculous, but because I have an Apple Watch that I acquired as an undelivered package, I might as well get an iPhone and use the iWatch.
Well, and it's just, especially with us both having iPhones, we're like the only people you text.
That's not true.
Wink, wink. No, but it does make it easier. And then there's the storage. And also, if you have problems, Rachel's an expert and would be able to, like,
just
resolve
more work
it
on
for you.
Rachel's plate.
Yeah. But that's...
Is that okay, Rachel, if I come to you for Apple support?
That's okay.
Thank you.
You might be signing up for more
At least
than you
I'm
think.
nice to Rachel most of the time.
True.
I'm nice to Ray. This is all for comical gestures.
What about all the times we're not podcasting?
Well, that's her stepping out of line. She's got a real mouth on her. No, we had a nice, I mentioned this was like our week off, and we had some nice days where we just hung out, and we've been watching Ozark, which I know we're like 5 years late to the game, but...
Sometimes it's better to be late to the show.
And we have so much of it to watch.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, and, but we had a good time. We went out to breakfast and actually did some grocery shopping so we didn't have to order Grubhub every day kind of type of thing. But it's been, it was nice. It sucks back to work. Well,
I got the fucking hiccups.
Oh, dude, you're about to just...
I'll do it off mic for everybody.
But now we're all back to work now. It's funny, I have a nice job. I can't complain because I own my own store and can kind of hang out if I just want to hang out that day. But I did see someone, which it totally reminded me of just that when you have a job that you just have to go through the motion. So I went to a busy store near Robinson Mall. And, like, keep in mind, this time of year, shit's buzzing around
What
there.
store?
The liquor store.
Oh, okay.
But they had a security guard there because this is a big one.
Wow.
Their, like, headquarters are there. But, yeah, so I didn't see this. But keep in mind, like, this is Robinson. So, like, this is where the big Walmart is, like, the big mall. And every store you could possibly need and restaurants are there. And he was in the back corner eating a bag of chips, just leaning on a shelf.
Good
and
for him.
he's like in like the full security outfit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just funny. I turned that corner and he wasn't even making eye contact with people. And it just reminded me of all those jobs I've had in my life where you're just like, this fucking sucks. Time is standing still. This dude has to hide eating chips. And that's because he was kind of a heavier set, sloppier, older dude, which tends to be most security guards.
Shout out to all the security guards.
Yeah.
We don't mean that.
And
we
it's fun-
love y'all. It's cool.
Yeah, but it is funny because, like, that guy's not needed there. He knows that. And worst comes to worst, like what's like?
I think by definition, the term job means that there's times where you're just going through the motion.
And this guy, like I said, I don't see how he ever is needed here.
Well, I told you a story about how I stole from a liquor store once on foot, like a fucking wild man.
Yeah, and you can get in a lot of trouble because it's, you know.
I wasn't worried about that at the time, but that motherfucker probably couldn't have called me.
No, and he wouldn't have. This guy could have stolen in front of. He wouldn't even have noticed, dude. He was so balls deep in this bag of Doritos that he's licking fingers back there and shit. And it's just like, but it brought me just those old memories of being at a job, of just like, what the fuck am I doing here right now? But it was funny because seeing that, as much as it's misery, I laugh at it because he's getting paid to just hang around. The worst thing about his day is he's like, I wish I could sit more.
Oh, he has to be on foot the whole time.
I would imagine so if he's back there. Like,
do you remember, Rachel? This might be a better question for you. Do you remember when you would go into a pharmacy and there would be like a person behind an elevated desk that was like the security person or something?
I kind of know what you're...
Rachel,
I feel like I've seen that in a movie.
Yeah, this is...
But it's in the pharmacy, not like by the front door.
No, it was by the front.
Oh, so nah.
It almost looked like a penalty box, an elevated penalty box, but there was someone back there. Maybe it was like the manager's peer. I don't know what it was.
Well, have you gone? I mean, you might have. When we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which if you haven't gone, everybody go. It's really fun. We stayed in not a great area because it was an affordable Airbnb and everything was nice. But we went to the corner store, and it's Ohio, so they can sell like beer, liquor, and food and like convenience items there. Soon as you walk in, it was like an elevated platform, and it's like this like she was nice, but she was probably like 45, 50 years old, kind of heavier set white woman, and dude had a Mac 10 on her hip.
That's what's up.
Like behind, and everything was like plexiglass. Probably like it might have been bulletproof glass, I'd imagine. But it's I can only imagine because the type of people she dealt with there. Like I said, we were like 2 blocks away from the hood. But it was just funny because as soon as you walk in the door, all you see is the side profile of her and a Mac 10 on her hip, and I was like, holy shit.
Making a statement.
I just wanted some tasty cakes and a 6-pack.
We asked her something, too, and she was like, oh, no, don't go there. I forget
we were looking for firewood. The Airbnb had a fireplace, and it was crazy how much of a journey we had to go on to. And we're like, well, we heard this is like this Kmart. She's like, honey, guys, don't go there. You're not going to be safe. And we're like, if you're saying that in this area... Dude, we were driving around some places where it was like, I was like, why in Ohio is this? I mean, it's everywhere, but it was like, we were like right outside the city, so we weren't like in the city where it's like nice and cool restaurants and stuff.
Yeah.
So like, it's we were hood adjacent to like a real hood.
Where, what city was it?
Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then obviously there's going to be a hood. I thought you were somewhere. If you're in Cleveland, that's a...
I just didn't... I mean, I've never been there, and every city has it, but yeah, this was...
You're so white. You're so white. I can't believe there's a hood in Cleveland.
No, it's not that. It's when you look on a map, we looked like we were in the city, like the nice part. But
right,
I mean, we were
has a shithole. Like Philly has a fucking huge shithole section.
I know. It's just like the fact that there's Airbnbs here. I go, well, that's probably nicer, And it wasn't.
So
anyway, story
so
was.
white.
I wasn't afraid.
You gotta get out of the suburbs, dude.
I wasn't afraid. It threw me off the piece this lady had on her.
Yeah, a Mac 10. That's like definitely not even a weapon people use anymore.
And it's not even like a. It's not even like a feasible weapon because once it just goes all over, which I guess that works.
Yeah,
so
you want that. She probably doesn't really want to kill anybody. She just wants to scare the shit out of them.
I did, and I should have balled up and asked, like, you ever actually feel like you had to take that off your hip? But I guess enough for this lady.
That's a good deterrent, dude. Seriously.
That is the first thing. You see open sign, and then lady, she could have wheeled it on her other side.
It was definitely a Mac 10.
I would say I'm 90% sure.
Like an Uzi.
Yes, I believe so.
That's cool. That's badass.
But yeah, it was fun. That's a rough job to be a security guard, I think, in a place where you know you're never going to get used. But I guess there's one, like I said, a lot of the security guards are, all they're doing, all they could possibly do is call the cops and be like, I have a good memory. Because a lot of them are old and sloppy. Like, I feel like I could have slapped that guy's chips, grabbed a couple bottles, and gotten out of there without him being able to do anything.
Well,
I mean, he kind of like almost had like orthopedic shoes on.
hey, he's getting paid to stand in a fucking liquor store.
Yeah, besides that, Rachel, did you have any? This was the first time you've had more than almost a day off. You had a nice, was it 5 days total?
6 days. Well,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving was one of the days, but we did Thanksgiving early, so that was just kind of an off day. And I had a staycation.
Which is one of my favorite types of vacations, to be honest, because we've built ourselves a house where we have everything we need, and as long as we do proper grocery shopping, we got what we want. I'm not a beach person.
If I didn't know you and I ran into you on the street, I'd be like, that guy likes staycations.
I have a gaming chair. We have 2 TVs in the living room. We're set for staycations. But I'm just glad you got to get some sleep. Although I tell every embarrassing thing about myself, so I can tell this about Rachel. She woke up one day. She never comes back and takes naps. Granted, she let the dogs are pawing at her to take them out in the morning. Rachel told me this word for word. It wasn't the taking the dogs out. As soon as she woke up, she was craving ramen noodles.
Carbs, man.
Rachel woke up, made top ramen, and ate it, and then went back to bed for another 3 hours. Which, staycation, I'm not mad at you. It's just funny that...
I think that's a pretty normal thing. I don't think it's weird.
To wake up and want ramen?
Yeah.
I mean, I used to eat ramen for breakfast.
Dude, people all over the world eat noodles for breakfast.
I think the more embarrassing part of that story is waking up and eating and then going back to bed. Not the ramen itself.
I do that every single
I was going to say,
day.
yeah, both of you, that is not something...
I always get a snack.
I mean,
and go
you're
back to sleep.
you're a night eater.
Well, I just wake up like every 2 hours.
Yeah, but especially when you were home, because you'd wake up half asleep, so you don't remember some of the eatings that you did. Smoke a cigarette, and then leave crumb trails
And cookies and shit.
from your back to your bed.
Well, it helps me sleep, I guess. It's annoying though, because like I never go to sleep and wake up 8 hours later. It's always
Which that does stink.
But it's great because you get to go back to bed, and that's a great feeling.
Well, that's how, because I can sleep a crazy amount, but it's usually sleeping like 8-ish to 10-ish hours if I don't have anything to do, and then I wake up, kind of just do like a small stretch, and then roll over, sleep for another 45 minutes, and just do that until I feel like getting out of bed. But update, my BiPAP machine, which is a step up from CPAP. I'm that good. I need an extra machine. I've been using it constantly, as best I can. Some nights it's only been like 3 hours, but last night I had 7 hours and 20 minutes with it. And I think I woke up and jumped right out of bed pretty much this morning, right, Rachel?
Yeah.
So that's a good sign there. I feel more... It's hard to tell, but I think I feel more energized.
I think you seem like it.
Once I get past... I always tell people, like, don't be around me for the first 15 minutes when I wake up. But once I get past that, like, I'm awake and I'm good, and I can stay awake for a long time.
Like that's everybody. There's like 1% of the population is happy when they roll out of bed.
Yeah, which...
They're weird. But now the next step is, and you'll know if it's really making a difference if on a day you have off, you wake up around like 10, 11, and you're like, I'm good to go.
You know, I kind of had one of those days. But sleeping is a drug to me almost. Like, I woke up and I wasn't tired. Let's put it this way. I can always just sleep.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you should.
No. But, like, this was an off day. Also added, this is the time of the year where there's a lot of dreary days. So when you wake up and your room's still, like, dark because it's, like, rainy out and you're kind of hearing that, this is a great time of the year to be getting those sleeps in.
Oh, you know what, though? I mean, some of the best time to sleep in is in the dead of the summer when it's hot as shit out. If you have the ability to like get up around like 3 and
Skip the
know,
heat.
The heat, yeah. But like if you were to get up one Saturday or Sunday and be up at like 11 o'clock and just stay up, I would be happy for you. I'd be like, that's a really good sign.
I mean, yeah, I could. Like, I did, basically did that today. Haven't been tired since. What the real test is going to be, which I'm going to have to wait a while because I'm not going to do this for any other reason, is to wake up super early for golf.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I just...
I'm not saying super early. I'm just saying, like, around noon.
No, but it'll be nice to... Because the guys I often... Well, now that you're here, that'll be nice. But if we want to golf with these guys, like, they are, like, in unions and stuff. So Tristan would wake me up. I'd wake up at, like, 4:30 in the morning. He'd pick me up at, like, 5-ish, and we'd drive an hour out. So it'll be nice to see if I can do that, come home, and not just have to nap immediately.
Right.
Which, I mean, an after golf nap is like one of the best. Out in the sun all day, you're moving around, you had some fun. Probably, I had a couple beers, so like the buzz is wearing off. I'm tired. That is some of the best nap in the world.
I can really only nap if my stomach hurts. I'm not a good napper.
Well, you don't give yourself the opportunity to.
Yeah, because if I lay in bed for more than like 15 minutes without falling asleep, it's a waste of time.
Yeah. Well, and that's the like if I would. Like if I had to, say I had to do something at 8 o'clock at night, and I had to work all day, and I don't want to be tired. I'll give myself an hour, because they say the best nap is 45 minutes. That's like basically the amount of time that you get through a REM cycle.
Okay.
So it'll give me 10 to 15 minutes to fall asleep, which I usually can do. And then have a nice 45 minutes, wake up, and then have, a nice little energy surge.
Yeah. I feel like I wake up more tired when I take a short nap. But I don't do it that often, so I'm just not used to it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's still waking up. But after that first 5-10 minutes of suckingness, I do feel like the re-energized.
I think my thing is that the worst part of any day, unless something really bad happens, is waking up. So why would I want to do that to myself twice in a day?
True.
So these different strokes for different folks.
I also, like I said, I dream so vividly, and sometimes I just want to escape into a world where it might be me doing something really cool, or what I've noticed with the sleep apnea, I don't have those panic dreams anymore.
I told you that shit was because your body was just stressed out in your sleep.
You haven't been sleep talking as much, too?
Well, he's got a mask on his face.
Yeah, but I can hear him talk still.
Yeah, but it's not just me waking up going like, "You've moved the bed!" Just yelling at Rachel for 10 minutes.
Well, you've only had it for, 2 weeks now?
Yeah, a little bit over that. And then there's only been, I think, 1 night or 2 nights that I just didn't wear it at all. There has been a couple nights, like, because it knows the pressure. By the way, this is some really interesting podcasting on sleep apnea and BiPAPs, but it senses your pressure. So like I'll wake up and it's still running on the ground, but it'll say like I only used it for 2 hours.
Okay.
Just because you rip it off
while you're sleeping.
Mm-hmm. But I'm getting better with it. So
yeah, well, I'm just rooting for the day where you wake up at noon on a day off and just
ready to stay
awake.
Yeah, and
really that simple.
Yeah, there's people out there like, did he just say noon? Yes, okay, I sleep in late, but I also stay up late, so you're not better than me. What is the thing? Fuck, like, people that brag about waking up early, cool, dude.
We're not talking about waking up early. We're talking about noon.
No, I know, but I'm saying people that, like...
Oh, yeah, if you don't have kids and you're getting up at, like, 7 a.m. just for no reason, there ain't shit to do at 7 a.m.
And
a lot of people's bodies are just like that.
Tuned in.
Like, they say that there's people who naturally function better in the afternoon. Some people naturally function better in the morning.
The thing is, regardless of what your natural attunement is, like, the world is not set up for people that wake up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It just is like, you feel like a piece of shit. I do.
Especially this time of the year right now.
Any time
you're waking up and you're like, dude, is the sun going down?
Yeah, I get really depressed. Like, seriously, I'll be in a funk the whole rest of the day if I wake up that late.
Yeah, that's.
I'll feel like you're regressing in your adulthood when I do that.
Oh, you know what my social media says is night owls tend to be more intelligent people. So take that, early risers.
Hey, I don't
But
know.
our whole family is night owls. I mean, in our formative years, we were staying up late.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it was the yearly thing was like we had to get ready to start going back to school.
Yeah, you gotta do a whole fucking readjustment.
And we would, and we would just lie to ourselves and be like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stay up all night and then go to bed early tomorrow, like 2 weeks out, and then you push it until school's about to start, and then you just have to have like 2 weeks of like.
That's like when you're a kid and you have to go back to school after the summer break. Actually, you know what though? In high school, because we were playing football, it wasn't that big of an adjustment.
It almost got easier.
In some ways, yeah, because you have to do that bullshit all day.
Well, yeah, you didn't have to like wake up.
You had to practice after school. We used to practice like 2.5 hours a day minimum.
Oh yeah.
So we were getting home late.
Especially if coach knew that like you drove to school. You know what I mean? Like practice might be over, but you got to go
Get your
do
little
some
lift
chalk
in.
talk, or all of a sudden there's a lifting paper in your locker or something.
Yeah.
But it was all. I mean, at that time you had the energy and stuff. It was fun.
I will say that like I'm really good. Like if I have to get up for work or something, I'm quick to adjust to that. It's when I have to force myself to get out of bed sometimes at like 10 or whatever, because I know if I go back to sleep at that point and I don't have nothing to do, I will wake up at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock and be like, motherfucker.
Here's the thing. It has to be important to you for you to do that, and not everything is important to you.
No, I guess no, it's not.
So if it's something he goes, if he can say fuck it to it, you will. If it doesn't, and you've been that your whole life, if it's not important to you, which it might be important to other people, you go, well, I don't care. I'm not doing it. Which is good, because I'm kind of the opposite way. The anxiety's like, it was just happening the other week. We didn't go to bowling.
You felt guilty the whole time?
Yeah. And I used to get that when I'd stay home from school, and it wasn't for schoolwork. It was like, my coach is going to be mad. You'd have to call him, tell him you're not going to be there.
They were fucking terrorists about that. The
Yeah,
coaches.
he'd like, go back to bed and get in here by fourth period so you can still lift.
They didn't even care if you went to school or not, but you had to come in.
Yeah.
They also knew you were faking.
Yeah.
How often did you miss school because you were
During
actually
football
sick?
season? Oh, actual sick?
I never get sick, dude. Knock on wood.
Then not often, because even like I'm so used to stomach issues. With it, like,
Yeah, that doesn't count.
you know
for
what I mean? Especially in high school, that's just more reason for me to leave class and to go take a dump. Especially when I started chewing, like in like 11th grade, I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom, and then just put a chew in, hang on the toilet for a while. And I had cell phones were around then, so I was able to just to kind of chill.
Yeah.
They were good times.
Speaking of stomach issues, I went to the grocery store today. It's really disgusting how much time I spend on dairy and in dairy. My refrigerator is half dairy, 30% Diet Pepsi, and 20% lunch meat and cheese.
I've been eating a lot of the meats and cheeses lately. I got a nice platter,
I'm
but
ridiculous.
you love dairy,
Yeah.
which is funny because like you're not as much, but me and mom especially have a little bit of lactose intolerance to us.
I guess I've just stuffed it down and just eaten so much dairy that I can't even.
It's not so much. You love Greek yogurt.
I fucking love it, dude. I can't get enough. I have 3 quarts.
The dude doesn't. You buy the big, and if there was a bigger option, you'd buy it.
As long as I could get my arm in there.
Yeah. The kid is always just having a fridge
Like
of Greek yogurt.
You know those big jugs of like ranch dressing or whatever they have at, like pizza places?
Yeah.
If they sold that as Greek yogurt, if the price was right.
Hey man, don't get a Sam's Club membership because you'll
Yeah,
go broke
right.
over Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
But there's worse things to have because at least they have like the healthy stomach biotics and things like that to it.
You can tell yourself it's not that bad. There's worse things. Like I don't have ice cream or anything. I just always have peanut butter, yogurt, and
mad
bread,
blocks of cheese too.
and mad cheese. But I always have toast and lots of butter.
Yeah.
But I'm doing all right. I fucking
Hey,
love butter,
you
man.
know what, though? I'll give you. I mean, in today's world, first of all, just to make yourself eat breakfast, because for me, I have a hard time eating. I know. By the look of me.
Nobody was thinking that, dude. We were all on the edge of our seats about the story.
I do have a hard time eating breakfast because I just wake up, I'm a little like nauseous or whatever it might be. But most days you'll wake up and make toast and eat a banana a lot of times.
Yeah, I always have bananas.
And that's a good start to your day. Like,
yeah, because it's not real heavy. I have been doing oatmeal lately.
and that's another great start. I mean, like that's impressive considering a lot of this nation wakes up and eats either sugar cereal or a microwaved breakfast sandwich or like McDonald's breakfast.
Yeah, I'm trying, man.
That's pretty good, though.
trying.
I'll give you that. But then there's times where you'll just go into a funk and I'll see you like eat 2 blocks of cheese like in a matter of like 18 hours.
Age Reserve is the shit, man.
Which-
Cracker Barrel cheese.
Oh yeah.
We need a sponsorship.
Dude,
I will-
Cracker Barrel was our first, just the cheese, not even the restaurants and
I will
stuff.
rock an Age Reserve Cracker Barrel shirt.
That would be dude, you can make some really cool apparel out of
Yeah, man.
the Cheese Boys. But well, they say cheese is like one of those things that like hit the same receptors in your brain as drugs do and stuff.
There could be something there.
They
for
say
me.
that, and with chocolate too.
I love chocolate. I fucking love chocolate. Milk chocolate gets a bad rap, y'all. Milk chocolate is just fine, okay? Internationally, people look at like American, like a Hershey's bar as like shitty chocolate. You can fuck off, okay?
Where do you stand on dark chocolate?
As a standalone, I'm not crazy about it. I will eat it. I mean,
Well, because we always, our house, mom would get the variety
The
pack of the
miniatures.
miniatures.
Yeah.
And that is a nice little change up to dark chocolate.
Yeah, but I'd rather have like the dark chocolate with like some kind of nut in it, or like something in the dark chocolate.
You want to know who's like a chocolate snob?
Who?
Rachel.
Well, Rachel's a bit of a snob. Period.
She's always, yeah, she's like,
She's vegan.
she'll go and she has to get the fancy, in the special section of the grocery store that you'll never even find in a 7-Eleven. So she puts her nose up when and he did too, dude, out of this variety pack, the Crackle is the best one.
No, I don't love the Crackle, man. It's not. I'll eat all of them. So let's just put that out there.
What about the Crackle or the, what's it?
Mr. Goodbar.
Mr. Goodbar?
I used to be a Mr. Goodbar guy on the top of the list, but now I just like the regular Hershey's chocolate.
And for the non-fats, the difference is the Mr. Goodbar is milk chocolate with peanuts in there. The Crackle, it's basically like a crunch
rice.
bar. It's got like the Rice Krispies in there.
Yeah.
But it is weird that
Chocolate tastes different, though.
it's like almost, faker. It's almost like it has a coating to it, like your mouth will get coating, but it's those little textures in there. Because I'm not a big chocolate
It'd
guy.
be good if it was in. I know you're not. You can do one piece of chocolate.
One
and be fine.
bars of those chocolate will shit, a Hershey. If like I'm like I want chocolate, 1 or 2 Hershey Kisses can solve that problem
I love
for me.
a Hershey Kiss, dude. And
They make a lot of varieties too.
I like the milk or the white chocolate ones.
My favorite is the white Hershey Kisses with like peppermint in it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that they're fucking.
They kind
good.
of
And you can
feel
al-
like they're breaking your teeth when you eat them, but I love them.
Well, I don't have to worry about that.
She's just got crap teeth. No, but that's a holiday thing. You don't get them around the holidays.
Yeah, they're
I
the
believe.
Christmas ones. They're like white and red, right? They got little red stripes on them.
Speaking of which, one of the longest standing commercials out there, which I still enjoy, is the holiday Hershey Kiss.
With the bells, they're
ding,
bells.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, that commercial cost them like I feel like nothing to make.
You know why they still run that commercial? Because they don't have to pay anybody royalties.
Pay anybody, and like you know exactly what it is, and it's also, I guess they don't run it enough to annoy you. But when it comes on, it's one of the few commercials I go, I like that.
If you're a normal, decent person, especially in America, when Christmas commercials and stuff start coming on, you don't get bitter about
Except for the car commercial. I mean,
it. Oh, they're so ridiculous.
we'll just because they're all year long. I've never understood why car commercials are.
Dude,
Besides when political shit's happening, we know cars. I don't understand why they.
My problem with it. This is a good point you brought up. My problem with it is, who the fuck has the money to buy somebody a surprise car as a gift?
That's
No, but they're common around Christmas.
well, that's every one of
It's
them.
two good-looking white people. Now,
No,
it's not
it's
white. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, but
Well, it's
needs
just,
to be said.
It's absurd in front of some beautiful cabin out in the woods, and they each got each other 2 brand new trucks for Christmas. It's just like
oh,
how does this work on regular people? Because, like, if you bought me a car for Christmas, I'd be like, we're taking this back immediately. Like, you cannot afford this.
You can't hold this.
You
You can't hold this over my head.
Yeah, right.
And especially the one be like,
I got you a
look,
fucking-
honey, I got you the new CRV. Oh my God, surprise! I got you the new Tahoe or whatever. It's like, what? And one, I don't need it to be white people, okay? But like, there's not that many interracial families. That's actually wrong. But there's not a lot of black people going in cabins for Christmas. Can we say that?
It's so obviously manufactured and forced that it's a lot of times it'll be a white person, a black person, and then some kid that doesn't look like the offspring of either of these people.
And if it wasn't a car commercial, one of them would be in a wheelchair.
We'll get there. There will be someone in a wheelchair. But I want to ask, I wonder if black folks are annoyed by it just because it's so phony and obviously like there to market to black people. It's like it's almost insulting.
Adjacent to that, I've seen podcast, and I forget where it is, but like talking about like slave movies, where black people like, white people like you to a black person be like, you like these, right? And they're like, no, we thought you guys liked them. We're like, no, we don't like them either. Why are we making these movies? You know what I mean? So I guarantee black people see through the bullshit before we do. So they're probably like, oh, we know you're pandering to us, but I'm not going to buy a Tahoe for Christmas.
Yeah.
No sane person who's not a fucking living in LA does something like that.
It's ridiculous. And these people in the marketing departments make 6 figures easy. So,
well, and that's the thing, which is crazy too, because it's just like there's like 3 versions just for whatever season it is. So like right now you're just seeing the holiday stuff, and it's either a family gets a dog and a car, or I bought you a car, you bought me a car, or when I like when they try and go like a little off topic, and it's like, look, there's keys here, wonder what that is, and it's like,
also the big red bow on a vehicle. Who buys these bows and who makes these bows?
Actually, and I know this which best Christmas present I ever got made me cry. All the neighborhood kids had quads, and mom and dad ponied up. They must have really had to break the bank to get me a quad, and it wasn't anything crazy spectacular, but like that was huge for me. Mom always says, you don't remember pulling the bow off? And I was like, no, I don't. But I asked her, and at the place that they bought it, they sold the bow.
Okay.
So I imagine, I don't know.
I've seen them on Amazon, actually, because I bought some bows to decorate the porch with, and that's actually what came up first, like giant car bows.
It was a stupid question. Obviously, just go on the internet.
Well, yeah.
I'm so
But I was going to say, car dealerships probably be like, we also throwing a free bow if this is Christmas.
We grew up with we were middle class, and nobody would even consider buying a brand new vehicle for somebody, for maybe a used car for their son or daughter when they get their license.
Well, when I graduated, we used all my graduation money, and mom helped me get a very used car.
We're talking about I don't know why we're still talking about it. The commercials are stupid, and nobody does that.
And if you are and you're watching this, leave a comment and say who it came from, what type of vehicle, so we can get a price point, and then also what business does your grandparents or parents own.
Yeah, for real. You don't have a job and do something like that.
Get me all worked up over this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because if you're middle class, that's downright irresponsible. If Dad was like, hey, Bert, got you a new Ford Focus, she'd be like, what drugs are you doing now?
And he'd be like, a couple different ones.
Yeah, and also, if someone comes to the door, I don't live here anymore.
Right. You know what else on the Christmas thing? How did Coca-Cola basically steal Santa Claus as a mascot during Christmas?
I used to be able to tell you a whole lot on this from marketing studies.
I didn't really want to know.
But Coca-Cola is like the marketing, like at the beginning of marketing, like Coca-Cola was the best at doing it all. And those polar bears go back to like way longer than you'd think.
I was talking about Santa Claus. He's in a bunch of commercials.
But Santa Claus is anyone can use Santa Claus.
Well, I didn't want to really answer the question. Now it's just boring.
No, but Coca-Cola, they're another one. Like I feel like I don't see shit about them, and then Christmas comes, and which once again, Coke, you don't have to remind us you're out there. We know you're there. And I like your little, cute polar bear commercials, but I think it's a waste of money to remind people to buy Coca-Cola.
A company like that has so much money. Like, they just are thinking of ways to use some of it.
I've been watching Ozarks. They're laundering money through those commercials, probably. Those polar bears.
Shock me. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
If you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing, boy. One thing I sit at the store and look at a lot of social media. Did we talk about foreign cooking last? Rachel, you edit.
No, we didn't.
No? Okay.
No.
Dude, I'm addicted to watching street vendor cookers in like India and China. Mm-hmm. And like they cook on these weird like, first of all, no one has a normal knife. No one has any normal cooking utensils. Everything comes the things that you think should come in a bag come in a box, and the things that you think should come in a box come in a weird bag that they squirt around. They're so entertaining to watch. And first of all, there's flies everywhere. No one wears gloves, and they all have really hairy knuckles. Their food looks, but I could never eat their food.
No?
And some of it looks really good, especially dude, the Asians of whatever descent, because I get a bunch of them, make some of the coolest, most unique breakfast sandwiches, and they'll be zoomed in, but then like right at the end they hand it to somebody and they pan out, and just the place they're in, I'm like, I could not eat any food around here.
Yeah, but they're used to it.
They are, but
and I know I don't watch that kind of stuff, but I'm sure it looks good. Most of it.
And a lot of it, I'm like, what is this?
Right.
Especially because
a lot of it gets plucked out of the ocean and whatever it is.
Oh, those ones are gnarly. Yeah, they're cooking like whole octopuses in like this wok, and they pull it out, and it's like bite its head, and like weird juices come out of it. But like the Indian people, a lot of times they mash. Like half the video is them mashing just spices. Mm-hmm. It all looks crazy spicy.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it's a very aromatic country, India.
And then they'll serve it like I said, like then they'll serve it on like a weird tinfoil tray that's not supposed to be thrown away. It's just the whole operation is always. And then there's always like 4 or 5 dudes just hanging out in the back, like they're either just their bros hanging out, and none of them have watches that fit good. All the watches are too big on them, but they think it's awesome, and they're wearing like track pants with a nice dress shirt. Button open.
They all wear collared shirts. We're talking about India, right?
Yeah, well, even a lot of the Asian markets too, but
these people are obnoxious with the cell phones. They're always on the phone. Always on the phone. Especially like the ones that are still speaking like broken English. They are constantly on the cell phone. It's crazy. And they will I've seen shows where like a police officer is asking them questions about, because I like my Indian crime shows, because I think India is a fascinating place.
We'll get you there one day.
I
can't go with you because I will die.
Because I'll eat the fucking food. As long as it isn't fish that I don't want, I'll eat the food. So, but yeah, they'll just pick up the phone in the middle of a police interview and be like, it's my cousin Shankar or some shit.
Anyone who lives in a metropolitan enough area has gone into a convenience store and they have the earpiece in and they're checking you out and they're just like, yeah. And they're just, I'm like, okay, I guess that's how you live your life. But also when we went on the whaling trip, dude, I was so close. First of all,
For the record, we don't kill whales. We were whale watching.
we were whale watching. Did I say whaling?
Well, you said whaling, yeah.
No, we went and seen these beautiful, majestic creatures, and it was awesome. Got to take our mom there. But so we're on it's a boat. It's moving around. Rachel's short. I'm trying to make sure she sees stuff. Mom is fragile at the time, trying to make sure she sees stuff. And then there's just, I don't want to generalize, but the Asian population's a little bit shorter than us. So they're all like this with their phones, not even looking at the whale. They're looking at their phone to who wants to see this fucking video.
Yeah.
It's not like we're on top of a whale. So to show this to someone, they're going to be like, yeah, I've seen whales on that screen before.
Not to say you're being racist, but every single person on that boat was trying to take pictures on their phone.
I wasn't.
Except us.
You're right. You are correct.
It is an annoying part of society now.
But also,
people talk about watching their kids at like plays and stuff, and every parent is watching through a phone a video no one gives a fuck about and will never care.
They're going to share it on Facebook, and someone's going to watch the first. Even the aunt's going to watch the first 3 seconds and then comment all and then move past. You're never going to, like, no one's watching that full video.
No. Even you're not going to watch it. I'm talking about the parent. They're not going to watch it again.
Even the little kids probably like, cool, you know how much other stuff I can watch on YouTube? Yeah. I don't want to watch me dance. Yeah. But yeah, I almost, dude, there was so many opportunities. I was like, I could just bump one of these little motherfuckers and that phone's going in the water and I'm doing all of us a service, I think.
It's funny, too, because it's one of those things where half the people are recording whatever's going on their phone because it's like, well, other people are doing it. It's when you see groups of people do stuff like that, it really reminds you that like human beings are such like they just are stupid and they just mimic each other.
Like Lord of the Flies
groups.
Almost.
It's like, well, they're a better parent than me if I don't record this on my phone. And it's like,
how about you just send me a copy? I'm gonna watch it in real life because that and well, also then like the boat, the fucking dude who operates that boat is a badass because he'd be like, everyone on the right side, stay where you are. I'm gonna flip it around, but everyone who wasn't sitting was running back and forth. Right. And keep in mind, I'm trying to like, we both, we're trying to protect mom at this point, so I start getting a little aggressive, and so at one point I started boxing people out. I was throwing a couple razor blade elbows at, and what are they gonna do? I'm like, you're in the wrong. But I forget the point I was going to go with that. That sucks.
Okay.
But whaling, go whale watching.
Yeah.
Don't go whaling. Go whale watching.
Yeah. Iceland. Stop fucking killing whales. Japan. Yeah, but Chinese people, especially like people who are tourists from actual China, and even Chinese Americans, they spit a lot. And they are so used to being on top of each other that personal space doesn't mean as much.
That's a good point on that boat, which I know Rachel's right, there was others, but where we were was a lot of foreign Asian descent people, and they spoke non-English around me, so I know like they were, at least visiting or new to this country or whatever. But they just really sucked the fun out of it because they're on their... Just watch it and then tell people about it. Yeah. It's so bad. That was the point. It was so bad that the people that are like, these are people that love whales so much. Their whole this is like family businesses that run these boats, and they're like, hey, this is a time where we like to tell everyone, please put your cell phones down. We're going to be leaving in a half hour, 20 minutes. Enjoy this majestic, crazy creature that we somehow were able to get near. And still people are like, that's when people are like, now I have a real opportunity to get up.
Because everyone else's phones are down.
And so no one even put their phones down.
Yeah. Well, that's just a part of society we have to come to accept. It's annoying. And you know me, I really couldn't give two shits about my phone most of the time. So when I'm watching, I've gotten to the point now where it's more funny to me than annoying.
Yeah. You have to laugh so you don't cry, right? But after... Okay, I can see you want to get a 3-minute clip of this video. Not
the whole thing.
The whole thing.
I know. And you know what else is funny? Now that the cameras on phones are so good, everybody's a photographer. No, you're not.
Yeah. Although do you remember the real photographer that was there? Dude, he had all the layers on because they tell you they're like it's colder than you
I
think.
was dying on that.
Yeah,
boat.
I'm
I was
lucky
freezing my fucking ass off. Your face almost melted off.
Oh my god,
You got such bad windburn and
sunburn and windburn because my dumbass, because it feels good when that cold mist is hitting you in the face when the boat's moving. But the next day we had to pack up and leave, and I was like, dude, I can't see out of
He looked crazy. I wish do we have a picture of that to show the people?
I don't think we did.
Maybe we should have our phones out all the time taking pictures of stuff.
See, guys?
Fuck.
Well, that's your job, Rachel.
Well, you just yell at me when I take pictures of you. So.
And in that moment, because we're packing, that was painful enough where Mom was like, you can have some of my cancer pain
meds.
pain meds, because I was just like my face. I was just
had
crying.
never seen you like that.
It was crazy. I look like a different type of species.
Yeah. Every time we go on a trip, you get hurt. In
I
some
do.
form.
You just get a little too excited sometimes, and then don't care about wearing a jacket.
Most of the time, well, it's not about a jacket. You know, It felt really good hanging my face over because it's nice cold breeze. The sun finally came out. It was warm. I didn't think I'm getting slapped in the face by 40-mile-an-hour winds this whole time.
Are those veins on your face or hairs? Okay, they're hairs. I thought they were veins. I was like, what the fuck? You got something going on there. Okay, nope, no panic.
Nope, just lazy and didn't shave, but I'm going to go see my barber soon.
I'm just glad they weren't it was almost looked like varicose veins on your cheeks. I was like, fuck, bro.
If episode 6 we caught me having a stroke, that might really kick things off. Hey, anyway, do you guys smell burnt toast? So I guess let's get into that time. I'd like to kind of close out with a funny story, a little anecdote or something. Take with you, share with your friends, laugh about. Try and make them relatable. For some reason, I mean, poop story. I think poop stories is something everyone can relate with. But I also had a lot of weird encounters with animals. Critters, yeah. So this is a story I like to call Rat in the Trash.
Very creative.
Well, it's it explains itself. So this was early on us living in the new house.
This house
here. For those of you who don't know, Pittsburgh, they get these things. People call them different. I didn't know this till my boss, but I believe they call them it's commonly known as a river rat. And
okay.
I don't live near the river, but we live in a pretty large neighborhood where there's a lot of sewer systems and stuff where I think is their highways and things like that, that they can pop out of them, eat trash. So these are large animals. They get fed well, and they're freaking gnarly. And I never thought about this, but there's been movies out there that old medieval movies where they to torture someone, they'll strap you down, put a rat on your chest, and heat the bucket, and it tries to dig its way out. Well, I never realized how
spooky
these things are. The mitts on these things. Anyway, we'll start from the beginning. We were at bowling. Our neighbors who they're cigarette smokers, so they pop outside to smoke cigarettes, as often as how they smoke. It's a super rainy night, and they texted Rachel while we're at bowling, hey, something's in your trash can. It was an empty trash can. And they took a quick picture, the lady, so she didn't want to get all close, something's going on. She's seen the trash can move, so she just did a quick picture that was pretty grainy. Send it to us, and by the look of the picture, I go, that's just a possum. And I don't kill possums. I wouldn't kill. Pennsylvania, we have a tick problem. Possums eat ticks, and they can't get Lyme disease and stuff. So, if you see a possum, they're creepy looking, especially when they have their babies on their back. But they're good. Don't mess with them because they eat ticks, especially.
I don't think anybody's really fucking with a possum. People see a possum, they're staying away from the possum.
Yeah.
Unless you're just a redneck that likes to kill things.
I was going to say, down the south, I'm pretty sure they eat some possums.
There's a lot of possum killers out here in Western PA. So.
Yeah. They are creepy, but they tend to stay themselves. They're more scared of you than they are of it. So I think, shit, no problem. It's a possum in the trash, which if it was, this story would be called Possum in the Trash. Well, we get home, and we're at bowling, so we're a little sauced up, and I'm thinking I'm just gonna kick the trash can over and let it run away. Why take a quick peek and notice that's not a possum? This is the biggest fucking rat I've ever seen in my life, dude. The tail of it, the base of the tail, I just remember going, that's like as thick as my thumb. Damn. And it's making noises. It's doing these weird like hiccup, but it's like, and I'm like, yo, this thing is crazy. And it just got stuck in there because the trash can didn't have a way to climb up. Well, I'm a little sauced up, and also I live in a neighborhood. What am I gonna do? How am I like? I don't want to just throw this thing back out and like kick it over and throw it back out into the neighborhood.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah. Well, so what I did, and this might get me in trouble with, animal lovers. Once again, if this was another type of situation, I would have worked around it. I didn't want this thing anywhere near my house. I have dogs. I think this thing could take one of my dogs.
Wow.
And after seeing the impact it can do, this thing, if it gets a hold of something that it wants to take, it's going to. I took the other trash can that was full of trash and just put it inside of the trash can.
To squash it.
But this thing's so big, I'm like, I'm not going to squash this, but I'll deal with this tomorrow morning. And
oh my God, that's torturing the thing.
I know. This sounds, but how am I supposed to kill it?
With a cinder block or something.
This is 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, I'm just saying.
This wasn't I didn't have an easy option here. Looking back,
you did have one easy option: just kick the trash can over and let it run away.
Yeah,
no,
but
I get.
To be
I get
honest, I was afraid enough where if I kick this trash can,
it might come after you.
Yeah, and I'm not quick enough. It's not an easy run back to my front door. But once again, I don't want it around my house.
I get that.
So put the trash can over, and I go, I'll take care of this in the morning. Like a rat can live overnight. And what I was going to do is just, knowing this from actually afterwards, you can call the cops, and they'll either call animal control or put it out of its misery. And they have a special gun for it, basically. Right. So we wake up the next day, and it's not moving anymore. But this thing dug the whole bottom of the trash can out, basically. That's how gnarly its claws are. And
like one of those thick plastic trash cans.
Yeah, like a real outdoor, what you put your trash men get. Okay. Does like a whole perfect circle of it, trying to escape.
Good band, Perfect Circle.
Perfect. And dug up concrete.
That's crazy,
dude. You can still see where it happened because there's like almost like a perfect circle of my concrete missing a little bit there.
Just scratched up and stuff.
And then, which I think it probably was its last ditch effort, is it dug a big hole in the trash can on top of it. But like I said, this is Pittsburgh. It's a heavy rain day, so it drowned to death. Once again, I'm not proud of this.
Listen, there's all kinds of animal organizations out there. I haven't seen anybody supporting the rats.
True. And when I tell the story, it does sound a lot meaner.
Even PETA's like, fuck rats.
And my thought was, I'm not level-headed right now. I can deal with this in the morning. Because when I put the trash can on there, there's a gap there. You know what I mean? Those trash cans don't just go straight to the bottom of it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't, like, slam it down. I really didn't want to have to kill it, but I was like, I'll deal with this later.
In retrospect, don't you wish you just killed it?
Yeah, because I think it did,
It definitely did. Imagine with the state of mind you'd have to be in to claw your way out of a trash can. Hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is, but so...
Shouldn't have been a rat.
Shouldn't have went in my trash can. Also, survival of the fittest. It got in there. It should have known there was no trash in there. So
stupid rat.
And also, when I'm thinking, I'm going, how did it get in there? Like, if it can't climb out, it doesn't. Then that means it can't climb on the side of the trash can. It gets
fell in. I bet you.
Well, I'm thinking it's right next to my porch.
It was up there.
So
chilling.
like it was. Yeah. So I'm like, this thing was climbing. Like my porch has that kind of fencing around it. So I'm scared at the point, and so I made that split decision. Wake up, and our trash cans weren't in the best condition, and I was afraid to even touch the dead one. So I just put both trash cans out, the one still inside of it, and put a note on the trash can of take it and throw it out.
Really?
So yeah, the trash men came, and which is crazy because that bottom was barely hanging on there. So there's a possibility those
The rat
trash men
fell
went
out
to
the
throw it
bottom.
in there and a dead rat. And this, once again, this isn't a rat, dude. This is king rat. This thing is.
It's a splinter.
It was big. Yeah, it's a splinter. So yeah, that's the rat in the trash story. I'll tell that as a cautionary tale to.
Kill the rat. If you one stuck in your trash can, people just put it out of its misery.
And like, if I had like a small little, like a pellet gun ain't doing something to this, but I would have to use like a 22 and hit it directly in the head. And once again, like, I don't think if I dropped a cinder block on it, I'd have to repeatedly do it.
It's a tough situation. Hopefully,
Yeah, that's
most
not
of,
an easy kill, you
yeah.
know, without a large caliber gun, I would imagine. But yeah, so
At least it wasn't a rat king.
no, I was the one who told you about rat kings, right?
Yeah.
Which is so gross. If you don't know what it is, Google it. But I'll tell you, it happens in New York, and dude, New York is just riddled with cockroaches and
Even like
rats.
expensive high-rise places.
Yeah, Jim Norton, who is very successful and owns a very nice apartment, he fights big ass cockroaches all the time in there. And imagine, and he bought his apartment. Imagine buy the price to buy an apartment in, I believe he's in like Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
So crazy money.
Yeah. I mean, especially having not grown up in the city, if you had to live in New York for your work or whatever, and suddenly the first time in your life you're making money and you got a nice pad and you're fighting cockroaches and fucking rats, I mean,
And at one point, I think
that's
it was
unacceptable for me.
during the pandemic, because all I watch, New York comics is all I consume pretty much. And they all have so many stories, like to the point where they don't even talk about them with each other anymore. They're like, yeah, obviously you kicked the trash bag and 17 rats ran out of it. That's what happens around here.
Right. But the Rat King.
The Rat King they have so many rats that they will be like in the sewer. A lot of times I believe it happens in the sewers. They're all fucking so tight on top of each other that their tails get tied together, and then there's like 7 to 15 rats, it looks like, stuck by the tail. And then they usually find them dead because they starve to death because like they're just frantically trying to get away. Or sometimes you'll find one like the tail's chewed off and then dies from bleeding out and stuff. But
It's if you haven't seen one of these, Google it. It's horrifying.
yeah.
I mean, it's hard to imagine a more horrifying scenario.
Especially to
the
know,
frenzy that they would all go into, like,
and
ooh.
especially to know how dirty rats are, because like they're like one of those animals, like they don't get a lot of diseases. They can eat old, dirty, moldy food and they have no problem.
Yeah.
So like these are like elite beings, if you really want to say, like
They're the rodent king.
yeah, and they can just make, they have hundreds of babies and shit, like I've always wanted to do stand up, and if I really wanted to do it, I'd have to move to New York. Not only would I hate living in New York, but to know like having to walk to the comedy stand at night, and anytime there's trash on the sidewalk, you got to walk around it because there will be something that pops out of there.
Yeah, well, you got to eat shit if you want to chase a dream. Even
Yeah.
rat kings. Although you could go to Philly, I think, and do a stand up thing.
One of my favorite comic started actually from Harrisburg, moved to Philly, then eventually moved to New York if you really want to, start getting your chops and things like that. But living in a city, could you live in a city, you think? Like a city, like living in an apartment complex?
It would be a huge adjustment, but I mean, if I had to, but I've lived in some pretty crazy different scenarios, halfway houses, and I mean, I can adjust to a lot of stuff.
And one thing about city livings, which I thought I'd hate, but when I hear them talk about it, like now with Uber and not having to use taxis, like if you got to go, 10, 15 blocks, you do that. But the kind of living does seem kind of cool in the fact that like you never do big grocery shoppings you just hit a bodega, grab a couple things for the next day, and then also get a delicious slice of pizza. And grab a good sandwich and stuff. So that seems fun.
So you like the sandwiches and the pizza?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only that's New York, but I mean, I could never, go West Coast. I would look like a I would look like a troll, like if I tried to go.
Where's that come from? Why? What do you mean?
I mean that if I was like I'm gonna be an actor and I moved to Los Angeles, people would walk on the other side of the street.
I don't know if it's that bad, but I know what you mean.
From the talks of it, I see people. I'm like, that's a decent looking guy. He goes, dude, when I go to Los Angeles, I hate myself, and I'm like, yep, guess I'm never even gonna vacation there.
Yeah, well, fuck going there for vacation.
Well, just fuck there in general, really.
Yeah.
The move would be like to Nashville now. That's becoming a big hub, or
Austin,
and just go and hope that Joe Rogan really likes me and get in he's building a comedy mecca down there. That would be, but then the heat though.
Yeah, I don't know much about Austin. I don't know if it's really that a hot place per se. I don't.
It's Texas. I don't think there's many places in
Well,
Texas.
it snows in some places in Texas.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm just really hoping Pittsburgh stand up really picks up, and then I really want to go back out there and do it.
If you would have still been doing stand up since you did it the first time, you would be like the top dude. One of the top. I mean, if you really worked your material and really stuck at it at this point, it's kind of like I told myself, if I would have kept lifting weights when I started till now, I would be pretty jacked, but I didn't because I hate lifting weights.
And I did love it. Like, I like the process. Like, obviously bombing and stuff sucks. Like, that's, make sure I don't have a gun in hand because it's bad. The scene, like I said, it's tough around here.
It's a whole lifestyle you have to decide to take on.
The thing is, is especially the time I was working an office job, like, you got to be willing to hang out at some random crap bar till 1 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday night just to get maybe 5 minutes.
Got to get your stage time in somehow.
And that's every successful stand-up comic will tell you, like, yeah, for 10 years I lived in a room with like 17 dudes just to afford that, like, eating rice and beans my whole life.
Yep. That's what it takes.
And I love stand-up, and maybe I felt like I won the lottery. Just a nice little bit where I didn't have to worry about doing anything.
Why the fuck would you deal with all that bullshit if you already had that much money?
Because I truly loved it. I really did. I like working material. And it's weird. It's one of those things. This is in like 7th and 8th grade. You get into like, I was like, rap is cool. And I had some buddies that like we freestyle, And so you always like, when you hear Eminem say this, like, he can't stop thinking of rhymes. Almost to the point where it's like maddening. When you're like stuck in writing jokes, all my brain was doing is writing jokes on everything, no matter the situation.
Right.
Which is fun for me. It does get like a little tiresome, but
well, fucking bring it to the podcast so we're not talking about rats and trash cans.
You guys want to hear a bit on this one time at Thanksgiving?
We could spin topics off of them.
Well, that's kind of what I'm doing a little bit here.
Okay.
But yeah, besides
don't give up on your dreams, folks.
Don't give up on your dream. And it's still something I keep thinking about it, and I do want to get back out there because I don't have stage fright. I don't have a problem getting up there. It's literally like first thing I think I'm like, I gotta find I have a truck. I gotta find parking in downtown Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so you gotta be able to not worry about the small things like that.
It does just
your neurotic tendencies are really a problem when it comes to shit.
It
like
does,
that.
And you can't do it because you wouldn't be good. But I do wish you could skip to the part where like I could at least be guaranteed 10 minutes if I went somewhere.
Well, from what I've heard, to get 10 minutes of good material is going to take years.
People have said that, yeah. I mean, and I'm not saying I was this fucking, the new coming of comedy, but I don't think I had a problem coming with 5 minutes. Was it all 100% killer? No, but the problem is when they say you only have 5 minutes, then I'm like, you just spur. You know what I mean? You're just telling these things that aren't meant to be told this fast, or if you want to tell a story, like you just don't have the time for it. So
that's all shit you gotta iron out on stage.
Yeah, isn't that part of the skill?
That's part of the that's part of the whole process.
Okay. If I could be guaranteed 5 minutes if I went to somewhere, because that's not guaranteed
See,
to
to
you.
me, that was always the thing that turned me off to the idea of doing stand-up, is working the same jokes every night. Every night doing the same jokes until you've got the timing down, you've got the crowd set up, everything down, like the same fucking jokes all the time.
And I'll stop you there. Crowd, there's not crowds here. These are all
No,
just.
you know what I mean.
Well, no, these are just all. These are all comedians. We just all hopped the same bars. So
Again, yeah, you got to.
you're telling the same, like, because you're never gonna know really if it was successful, and until like in your own mind you're like, okay, I had that ironed up. These dudes have heard me told this same 5 minutes in the last 2 weeks 20 times.
Yeah, and I gotta imagine most of these people are not like, hey man, keep doing what you're doing.
No, they want to be really cliquey.
They're haters.
And a lot of them, I'm in Pittsburgh, so I got a lot of uniques and like hipsters that, like, you know, if they don't like the subject, they're never gonna like a joke.
And the whole comedy scene has changed so much in the last 5 years or so. Just what you can talk about, what you can't talk about.
Which is
I can't imagine being like, 20 years deep into my comedy career and really hitting on all strides, and suddenly like I have to change half my material because it's too offensive. Because a comedy, to me, having grown up with like, Chris Rock, fucking, even I've seen going back to Pryor and shit like that. It's supposed to be offensive. That's what's funny about it.
And it doesn't have to be offensive. It's
You know what I mean.
Like,
The
yeah,
people know
you're
what
not
I'm
allowed to
saying.
like even hint around certain subjects because maybe this one person has a sister that person, so it's.
I mean, now shit. Chappelle goes on stage and talks about like transgender, and it's like top front page news. Like Dave Chappelle talked about this, and then every person in the media and comedy scene has to talk about it, and it's like it's a fucking couple jokes. And
This
if
is
you've ever
literally-
met, been like close, like friends with like a gay person or whatever, they're usually pretty funny, and like it's just the small handful of people that part of their identity is getting offended about things.
Their only identity, and the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and then so
It's
like
just something people can
that's
talk
a
about.
whole thing, and it's such a shit storm because main thing, this is stand-up comedy. This isn't me saying this on the news or making a grandstand or going into a church and saying this. I'm saying this in front of usually drunk people that are barely paying attention and I never got in trouble for stuff because usually I just talk about myself. But it's even like, you can offend people by talking about myself. You shouldn't talk about images that way. All right, well, if I think I'm fat, I'm fat, so you don't get to tell me.
Can I be honest with you? I don't think, and maybe it's because I used to be really heavy, I don't think that's that funny. When like a fat person goes on stage and talks about how they're fat, I'm like,
Nah,
this
that's
is
not
too
really.
easy. This is too easy, dude. Write some better jokes.
Yeah, nah,
Now, using your size in physical comedy, that's different. But if you're just saying like, yeah, I'm fat, I know, it's like, it's kind of.
Yeah, no, and there
uncomfortable.
was comedians that were like, I hate fat stand-ups because they do just, that's all they do. I would obviously comment on it, but most of my material was family-based of just like, I talked about mom when she went through menopause and how was terrified to live in the house was a big portion of it, or, my dad's a little out there, things like that.
A little bit.
Or just observational things. But that is, once again, it's hard because think about spending 3 to 4 hours of your night on Monday through Thursday to try and maybe get up twice for 5 minutes.
It's terrible. It's a terrible thing in the beginning.
And
And
then
every great comic talks about how much it sucks.
And that's why they're great, because they fought through it, and
Yeah.
So
Ate shit.
maybe you'll see me out there one day, or maybe we'll just we get a podcast going where we can do live podcast, and then I can make that jump where I go, don't make me do 5 minutes of open micing and let me do 10 minutes somewhere, guaranteed.
Let's hope.
But yeah, besides that, we'll save some things. I think maybe next episode I'd like to dive in, just to give you a little cliffhanger, part of the industry. Talk about evolution of comfy spots, because you're kind of building your household right now and stuff, and
Yeah, it's turning out all right. It's a livable space, man.
and just everyone has it, you know what I mean? Especially the first place I had of literally having like a lawn chair for like a couple months till I upgraded, and it's a fun subject that I think everyone can relate to.
Is it?
Well, we'll
I
see.
guess we'll find out. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm
The evolution
skeptical.
of comfy spots, I think, could be something. Or maybe how about this, Steven? Why don't you come with some subjects?
Okay.
Guys always putting everything on me.
I'm supposed to be the yin to your yang.
Well, this is a yang. This is a yang central.
We're going back and forth here.
Yeah. But I this was fun as always. I like to sometimes end it with a weird question for Rachel. Rachel, who was the first person that you fell in love with?
Rachel's blushing a little bit.
Rob Colopy.
Well, you
He hears this, he'll know.
You have to say his full name. Now, is this because I bring it up? At one point in Rachel's life, like she had crushes like a little girl, and it wasn't until way later in life than I think it should be that she realized that boys have penises and that penises are gross.
Okay.
Oh, well, yeah. I learned that like in maybe 3rd grade, and I would still have crushes, but then I would be like,
She didn't
oh
think
my
of
God,
that part.
they have a penis.
Yeah.
And I'd be kind of weirded out, and I'd have to forget about it.
That's how innocent she was.
Right.
That's nice though. I like that my wife was so innocent. She was like, "Ew, wieners."
It just seems weird. It still seems weird if I think about it too much. It's like a
Oh, we've
thing
been
hanging
married
off
4
your body.
years. So you're gonna have to get kind of over how
Doesn't
weird a
it get
wiener
in
is.
the way? I don't know.
Wieners are weird. They're funny. That's what you got to look at them. They're kind of funny. But if we're ever having sex and you laugh, I'll probably kill myself.
Why? You're a funny guy.
Yeah.
Not during
You're
sex.
a comedian.
During sexy time. I'm very vanilla and I have a hard time trying to feel sexy. Can you be that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I get when I'm into it. Yeah.
Like you can feel like you do like sexy like talkings and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
See, that's I
I get
can't.
into it, man.
Well, that's good. Good for you, because that adds a level of enjoyment. But I hear people talk about that, and I'm like, I just want to get this over. This is nice, but I'm scared. Because I could never just be like, oh yeah, you like that? Because immediately I'd start laughing.
If it's not it's got to be natural. I don't do it.
Because immediately I'd go, I look like an idiot.
I mean, I'm not like crazy. Like, yeah, fuck you. You like that dick, bitch? And like, it has to be a natural. It just is.
You ever been with a girl who likes rough sex?
I've been with a girl who liked being choked. Like,
That's not as uncommon as I
like
thought.
hard.
Yeah.
Like when I,
Scared you a little bit?
we finished, like she was like red in the face and like had to like take my hand, like push it off her neck. Like she wanted to be choked for real, not just like a little.
If a girl, all right, first time
And
with
it's
the
hot a little bit. It's hot.
I could see if you can get into it. I just can't. My brain immediately goes like, "This is ridiculous." My wife is so much more attractive than me. This is stupid. If the first time you're with a woman and she asked you to hit her, could you?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I some podcasts I was listening to were talking about that, and I go, well, I've never been in that situation, but there's women out there that like that, and they like to go, I'm gonna say no, but I want you to keep going.
Yeah, that's not that uncommon. The whole, yeah.
That's not fair. I think if a girl asks me, I'm like, what are you trying to
What's your
accomplish?
angle here? No.
Men ask for weird shit too.
Rachel, just because I all right, not everyone is into it,
I
but I
just
am.
saw the Seinfeld episode where they're eating pastrami sandwiches in bed, like
George popping his head out of the sheet, eating a Sammy.
yeah.
Rachel, okay, some people like to bring sandwiches to bed, and when you eat my, cheesy toast, you're not that mad afterwards either.
I thought you were gonna say when she eats your ass.
I would. Let's put it this way: I love my wife so much. Even if that's what I needed, I could never. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not a great place down there.
No.
I keep it very, very clean.
Nobody's
but
is though.
No, but I abuse mine
You use it a lot.
Yes, and I wipe till I probably should stop a few wipes before I stop.
Let's say it's a high traffic area.
High trafficked area. Anyway, Rachel, you might be right. That is You Be Aight podcast.
You Be Aight.
We had some fun. Still getting in the rhythm of things. Hang out with us, guys. We're getting there. If there's any topics you guys want to talk about, we're an open space
we'll talk
here.
about anything. Keep on coming back.
I did have fun as
Yeah.
usual. These time always flies when we're doing this. But hopefully, you know what I'm hoping? In a good and bad way. I'm hoping you get a neighbor that's whacked out.
Me too. I know, but not too close because I don't want him to fucking. be
No, well,
annoying.
you know, you're across the hall. You know the person below you, and kind of. What about the people behind you? Have you met them yet?
No, I think they're just like a fucking average-looking couple that has nothing special.
You know what?
There's a weird motherfucker. He looks like a guy who is like the night clerk at like a fucking gas station nobody goes to. He looks like a Deliverance kind of like red. He looks like shit. Okay, he looks like shit.
He's
and
got bad
old.
genetics.
Yeah, bad genes. I saw him for the first time last night. So,
Which apartment?
you know how when you go up those back stairs, there's 2 apartments, the fat couple, and next to that,
Yeah,
I
so-
never saw him for his first time.
Okay.
So
Because
I
there
could-
was that open apartment. I wonder if you know.
that one's filled by that older woman I told you about.
Oh, okay. All right.
I see her walking home sometimes. I don't think she drives.
That's usually a sign of a couple of Deweys.
Yeah, and let's be yeah right.
Especially on that
She
road.
looks-
That's not a walking road.
No, yeah, she looks like she's roughed herself up a little bit, but it is a pretty nice place. So this isn't. There's not a bunch of like cretins living there, but yeah, I'm you know.
So you basically know everybody except on the front from the road, the one to the left
the one to
next to the
Yeah.
girl that you met.
yeah.
Any more encounters with her?
No, she works like nights. I think maybe she's a stripper. I don't know. I'll have to ask her next time I run into her.
Hey, do you do sex work for a living?
No.
Just a quick question.
Next time we run into each other, though, I'm gonna.
Yeah, you got to put a little something out there.
Yeah, I haven't really gotten a second good look at her. I don't want to go to overboard till I really. I know she has a nice firm butt though.
That's like the worst case scenario. If you're in like a month from now, you're like, dude, I got to find a new place. This because we hooked up, and then now I have to leave the city.
yeah, right.
But all right, guys, thank you so much. If you're joining in, You Be Aight podcast presented by AML Media. I'm Gene Labordi. That's my brother Stephen Labordi. My beautiful wife, who you've only gotten to see once so far. Show off that
It's a
nice little
mystery.
face of yours.
She could put herself in the post production.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I want you to do that. But this is the star of the show. You don't get to see her. She does all the hard work for us, so thank you for that.
We know the show's good when she gets mad and doesn't like what we're talking about.
Yes, she does try and censor us, and not in my America. Just kidding. Thanks,
Alrighty.
boys. Everyone have a good one. No, my hand goes on top.
Where's the song?
I got the song.